Hello and welcome to the Utah State School Board debate for District 8. It's held by the Utah Education Debate Coalition. The coalition was founded by nonprofit and nonpartisan organizations to provide a venue for voters to hear from the Utah State Board of Education candidates. Thank you for joining us. Those in person here at Entheos Academy in Kearns, thank you for hosting Entheos, and also those online on YouTube. We want you to be informed making those decisions this primary season, and so we'd like to provide this opportunity for you. The partners of the Utah Education Debate Coalition are the United Way of Salt Lake, the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah, the Utah Association of Public Charter Schools, the Utah PTA, and the Deseret News. My name is Gina James, and I will serve as the moderator tonight. The two candidates in the Republican primary for District 8 are Trina Christensen and Nicole McDermott. Nicole was unable to join us this evening, and so tonight's debate is more appropriately titled A Candidate Conversation with Trina here with me. But to maintain consistency in our events, we'll have a series of questions that the candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to. Then the second half of the debate, the first half, we have some questions of our own. In the second half of the debate, we will take questions from our YouTube channel and also from those in our audience here. So welcome to Trina Christensen. We'll start with a 90-second opening statement. Trina, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I want to thank you for coming and joining in either in person or via the YouTube stream. Whether we agree on specific issues or not, I appreciate everyone who cares about our kids and is willing to participate in improving education opportunities and outcomes. I believe we must meet students where they are, but always stay focused on what they can become. As we launch them into additional education and careers, we don't just remove barriers and give them wings. We lift families, our state, and society in general. I am a 30-year educator that has experienced education from all sides. As a mother of 5, a school teacher and administrator in district schools, charter schools, and at the policy table with the state school board and legislature. Currently, I run an after-school program I developed where we use integrative music education to improve academic performance and behavior. I work with students, parents, academic mentors, and teachers to ensure students get the academic help they need. Homework is done, and that includes working with parents to give them the tools they need to help students at home. Parents are so critical in this equation. Many have struggles of their own. We must be more creative in strategies to engage them in ways that work for them and their students. Families should feel empowered to choose the educational setting that best supports their child and works best for their family. We cannot limit our expectations based on the status quo. Are you seeing meaningful improvements in your school? In my program, we have seen significant improvement. 82% of our students improved in homework and class participation, and 74% improved in student behavior. I want to focus on the most important thing as I close. As your state school board representative, my focus is on the word representative. I will engage with you on a regular basis. I will be involved in our communities. I will listen, and I will follow up.
Thank you for that. We'll start the first question with kind of a big picture question. What will be your guiding principles or your guiding principle for decision making if selected for the state board?
Thank you so much for that question. Students first and foremost is going to be my guiding principle. I'm always going to ask myself with every decision that we have to make, is this what is best for students? Does it serve them well? Does it help empower parents as leaders and champions of their child's education? Does it support the educators? My goal is to not have more work and more red tape for the educators to have to do because they already have a lot on their plate. And I also want to make sure that we are helping the community. So again, students first, parents empowered, supporting teachers.
Thank you. The next question is, what do you see as the role of the State Board of Education? And then what should be left to the local level or to parents?
Thank you so much. I have gotten that question so many times. They're like, what does the state school board even do? So the way that I explain what the state school board does, we work with the legislature. The legislature sets the laws, the educational law. It's up to the state school board to build a framework that is implemented in the district schools and in the classrooms and in the communities. What I would like to see, I would like to see myself as a member of the state school board be a bridge to resources that a lot of parents don't even know that the Utah State Board of Education has. I've already helped, I'm not serving on the board yet, but I've already helped to connect some of my constituents with some of the resources out there. As parents, they said, there's nothing out there for us, but there is. There's a parent portal that USBE has. And did you know that there's a parent liaison that you can call with any issues and they will walk you through what your rights are and what next steps are? I want to help be that bridge to resources. I want to let my constituents know what I'm working on. It's very important to me that I am representing you. I want you to reach out to me with any needs that you have, with anything that needs to be handled. I do believe in local control, but I also believe that when school districts are not adhering to the law, there should be accountability.
Thank you. So you mentioned the State Board of Education works often with the legislature. And so over the years, the state board's relationship with the Utah legislature has kind of waxed and waned. How do you envision the legislature and the state board working together? And what will you specifically do to help make that happen?
So I have grown to love my time up on the Hill. I am very familiar with the legislative process. I have gotten to know a lot of the legislators very well over the years in advocating for funding for my own after-school music program. The biggest thing that I would like to see is just that ongoing communication. I've already been talking to some of the legislators about some initiatives that I would like to see, get pushed a little bit further, and where we're standing and what the likelihood of that possibly happening is. I also have been I always like to say I have a lot of tabs open in my brain, because I do. I'm always making internal notes about different legislators' names, what their initiatives are, what their strengths are. So then when we as the Utah State School Board have issues that we want to see passed or educational law improved, then I know who to reach out to. Again, we have to have that ongoing communication, working together. One thing I would like to do as well is having a classroom experience. I want to think of what we are going to be implementing from the classroom on up. A lot of educators that I've talked to have said, it's impossible what the legislature is asking us to do. Having that classroom experience, I want to bring that with me so that we have the appropriate framework that we can successfully implement what we need to.
Thank you. So continuing on the vein of legislative issues, it says for several years now, there has been an increased focus on improving reading proficiency for Utah students. The legislature enacted laws directing the implementation of the science of reading for schools throughout the state. However, funding for some of that teacher training has been exhausted. The legislature recently passed some adjustments and requirements for reading at a certain grade point and restrictions around that. What do you believe that the State Board of Education can do to support reading improvements?
Thank you so much. That is something that I'm very passionate about. I actually am very excited about the early literacy interventions that the legislature just passed. It will put everyone on kind of a more even playing field with charter schools and district schools, because there's going to be ongoing assessments. I think right now they're saying that they need to have at least 3 different assessments throughout the school year. That will just help everyone to know where early interventions are needed, right? Our goal is to be able to do assessments with our kindergarten and our first graders. And if they're struggling, let's get them help. Do we expect them by the end of first grade to be reading on grade level? No, because every student progresses on their own very differently, right? But we need to make sure that we know how to get interventions quickly and make sure that parents know how to help best support them. Parents are going to be key, and they're critical to the success for reading for our students. That means that they need to be reading at home. They need to be talking with the teacher. We need to have that teamwork, right? The saying is, teamwork makes the dream work. We need to empower parents. Something I would like to do is to do a parent class. I do parent classes often to help to train parents how to work with their students, how to help them be successful. And I would love to be able to do that and have that be access through the state school board. I have also offered to go around and do community classes for free. I don't want to get paid because I'm just very passionate about that.
Thank you. Let's dig into that a little bit more then. So what do you see as the role of parents in their child's education? I mean, the obvious answer is they're the parents, but how do you see that working within your role should you be elected to this State Board of Education?
Thank you so much. Right now, parents feel that they don't have a voice on the state school board. They feel that they are being ignored by their local school board. They feel that why bother reaching out to the people at the state because they don't care. That stops with me. I care. I am here. I'm still running despite a lot of opposition along my campaign. And I care so much and I'm so passionate about the work that we need to do to help improve public education for our students. Parents need to make sure that they care about what their students are learning. They need to ask them, how was your day? What did you learn? Walk me through it. If they're younger or you have a student that is struggling to read, they're the ones that need to help them with reading at home. If the parents don't read English, we can get them books in Spanish or their native language so that there can be that reading practice at home. If that's not happening, it's not going to improve. But parents need to be communicating often with the parents, with the teachers, with their students, with administration, because it is a team effort. I like to say that it's like a triangle or a three-legged stool where we all work together, teacher, parent, and student, to be successful, because it takes all of us coming together, but the parents are crucial to make sure that their students are successful.
All right. And you had mentioned in your previous answer a little bit about assessments. And so I want to ask, what should the goals of testing be? And do you believe that the state is accomplishing that adequately?
All right. Full transparency. I hear the word testing or assessments, and I was one of those students that had really bad test anxiety. I never tested well. I was terrible. I struggled. I absolutely struggled. So from an educator standpoint, what I would love to see assessments do is help us to get the data that we need to show what the students' strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and by identifying their weaknesses, we know what we can do to help them to improve. We can then have the appropriate meetings and communication with their parents. Again, parents are key in this team effort so that they know how they can best help support their child to be academically successful. I have also talked with some educators who are like, Trina, if you get elected to the state school board, can you take a look at the benchmarks that are set for RISE? Because as a teacher myself, I am struggling to get my students up to that level, as are all of my colleagues. So I would like to take a look at that data. Are our benchmarks not too high? Do we need to go back to the drawing board and revise them? I'm very data driven, and when we get the data that shows we need to change, we need to pivot, we need to keep revising, we need to keep changing so that we can stay relevant, so that we can do what's best for the students in our state of Utah.
All right. Okay. We'll switch off from that and talk about something really exciting, the budget. So the 2026 I cannot say that word, legislature allocated $8.6 billion for public education. What experience do you have with budgeting? And how do you determine your financial priorities for the children of Utah?
Thank you so much for that question. For the last 25 years, I had to think about that for a minute. I was going to say 20, but it's 25 years. I have served on various boards, music education boards, national boards for education, and I have a lot of experience overseeing budgets, and some of them are multi-million-dollar budgets that I have had to oversee and make sure that we are using the funds responsibly. The one thing that I would always do, again, like I mentioned, I'm very data driven. I want to take a look at the specific programs that are on the USBE budget. If it's been a while since we have gone through and done an audit of whether we are getting the return on investment, are those programs giving us the results that were promised to us. If we've been doing those programs for a while and we're not getting that return on investment and it's not helping our students, it is time for us to move on, and we need to reallocate those funds more appropriately to help our students to be successful.
All right, we'll do one more of my prepared questions, and then we'll turn some questions over to the audience and those on YouTube. So if you haven't put your question in the chat, please do so now. Another thing that has come up as of late is chronic absenteeism. What are the possible tools that USBE could employ to combat chronic absenteeism in our schools?
Thank you so much. And that has been a topic of conversation at the legislative session with all of us administrators as well. Chronic absenteeism is a real problem, especially with a news article that was published by the Salt Lake Tribune, where it said students on the west side, there's a strong correlation with chronic absenteeism and their low performance, or them constantly moving schools and their low performance. So it's a real problem. One thing that I would like to see the state school board do is to develop a stronger framework that can be helpful and a better resource to our district schools on how to track and make sure that they are reaching out to families. Something that we have found very, because we used to have students in our after school program, for example, that kept missing. But once we started making phone calls, again, we had volunteers that started making phone calls, some in English, some in Spanish. And when we started calling and saying, hey, we missed Johnny. Is everything okay? Do you need help? Sometimes dad lost a job and they didn't have gas money. And so we were able to connect them with services. So it's about caring. It's about making those phone calls. It's about admin right now. Principals and superintendents are kind of maxed out. They need more resources. As a state school board, we have resources that we can come together and provide for the superintendents and principals to be able to help them to support their students.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and grab a question here from our live studio audience. All right. Parents are often told to trust the system. Can you give an example of a time when you challenged the education system on behalf of students or parents, and what was the outcome?
That's a really great question. I am someone who is not afraid to ask questions. When I say I am advocating for students, I am truly advocating for students. Their best interest and their academic success is my priority. I have had to go to bat for many students. One example, there was a boy who actually came from a refugee family. His dad was the tribal chief, and him having consequences was not something that he was used to having, and expectations. I believe in holding expectations high for students, and his dad wanted us to lower the expectations for him. But I had to have a conversation with that particular dad. I was petrified because, again, he was a tribal chief in their African tribe, and but I stood up for his son, and I said, "Your son is absolutely amazing. I know that he can raise his test scores. I am here to help him after school, but I need you to support us in keeping him here the entire time so that we can help him academically." Fast forward, he has a full ride scholarship to attend a 4-year university. So it was successful, and it was hard. And I don't mind having hard conversations and asking those hard questions.
All right. Well, hopefully this question won't be too hard either, but I know you can handle it, right? All right. If you could make one change that every student in Utah would notice during the first year of your term, what would it be?
Okay, I love that question. Something that I really am struggling with is how often our students are on technology. Their textbooks are on technology. They are always on technology. Students are disengaged from classes because they are on technology and not having one-on-one conversation for the most part of their day with their teachers. So something that I would like to see, and again, this has to be something that is a gradual change because we have to have the funding, but we need to have less screen time. We need to go back to textbooks and go back to paper and pencil, which tests have shown that when we go back to paper and pencil and we're thinking things through and there's that one-on-one human connection between the teacher and the students thrive and our tests will improve, our test scores will improve.
Thank you. I have a question from our YouTube chat. Thank you for putting that in. It says, what are your thoughts on social emotional learning?
That is really hard. I know that during COVID, we were worried about our students. There was a lot of social isolation. We had to add some character development lessons in and some opportunities for the students virtually to see each other. They were struggling. And so I know that when social emotional learning was first instituted, they had good intentions. However, right now, the social emotional learning has become more ideological rather than more beneficial for the students. I think what we need to do is to pull the data that we all have to see, is our social emotional learning curriculum helping our students? If it is not, which I have heard that it has not improved their social emotional well-being very much at all, then we need to look at that data and see if we need to reallocate those funds elsewhere. It costs millions of dollars for school districts to keep social emotional learning curriculum. And what I would rather do is I would rather not raise taxes and reallocate those funds elsewhere if it is showing that it is not helping our students. We need to be good stewards of our sacred taxpayer dollars, and I am always willing to look at the budgets and looking at the data to see what is working and what is not, and let's reallocate that or go back to the legislature and say, this isn't working, please help.
All right. Well, relatedly, many students do come to school with needs that are outside of the realm of education, such as hunger and anxiety, that can impact their ability to learn. What do you see as the school's role in addressing these issues and why?
So first and foremost, we need to make sure that our students are cared for, right? Our students come from all different walks of life, different demographics. That's why there's free breakfasts, because we want to make sure they have food in their belly so they can focus and do better in school. We also want to make sure that if they have additional needs, like healthcare or things of that nature, we have resources that we can connect them to. I am big into outreach and getting together with community partners and always having flyers and brochures so that if there are needs, we can connect our students to those needs to help them with letting the parents know that it's okay, that if they need help, there are resources out there because they're not in this parenting journey alone. Schools should be able to help, but they also, again, sometimes people are like, but if we help them too much, then what will that ever solve? Because what if the children are being abused? Abuse is something totally different. There's different reporting parameters that we have to follow. We are state mandated reporters as educators, but we do need to do our best to care for the kids. If we care for them and we teach them how to brush their teeth, how to brush their hair, if that's an issue, and we work with their parents to give and help them with those tools, then we're just helping to improve society, and they will help to improve their communities, especially.
Thank you. So in talking about data, that you said you love data, so what student data should be collected by schools and the state or the state? And then how should this data be analyzed and used?
Thank you so much. Student data is kind of a hot topic right now because a lot of parents are hearing that some of the programs that the school districts are using are sharing student data, right? So we want to make sure that whatever data we are collecting, we are also protecting. The most important data that we need is students who qualify, the number of students that qualify for free or reduced lunch, because that helps us to know whether we qualify for Title I funding, whether we qualify for the at-risk funding with the state. We also need to collect the assessments, right? There's DIBELS assessments, there's the RISE tests. So we need to be able to collect those. We need to keep them and keep those parameters so that we can do a comparison too. We also need to be able to pull the attendance. Something that we like to always do is, pull those that attended 30 days or more, those that attended 90 days or more. Is there a correlation with attendance and higher scores, attendance and higher grades? And that helps us to be able to know how we can help support our additional students.
All right, thank you. Let's do one more question and then we'll go into, I think, I think the rapid fire is, you've earned a closing statement with that, right? What should districts, schools, and charter schools and the State Board of Education, so kind of everyone, how can they work together to create school climates where every student feels safe and that they belong?
I've really been thinking a lot about the word safe. A lot of the parents that I have talked to don't feel that their kids are safe at school. So much so that some of their kids refuse to go to the restroom at school. First and foremost, we need to get kids excited to go to school. We need to get them excited to learn. Right now, there's so much being done online and with Canvas. They don't think that their teachers care about them. That's why they're disenfranchised by going to school and by learning. We need to get that excitement up. If they're excited to go to school, they're excited to learn, their brain waves they're ready to go, right? But it also needs to we need to make sure that as a state school board, that we are supporting the district schools as well. That's why I would love to be able to be apprised of issues going on. Again, I want to be a resource in real time, not months, not years down the road, so that I can help to affect positive change if change needs to happen. But we can work together, district schools, the legislature, the state school board. We all work together because we have the same goal. We want all of our students to succeed, to be ready for their adult life, to contribute successfully to their communities, whether it's going to college, whether it's, working in a trade, whether it's going into the services. We need to support them however we can, but we have to work together and come together as a community in order to do so.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. We really do encourage you to vote in your primary election and then join us this fall as we bring you education debates for the general election as well. So with that, we'll turn the last 90 seconds over to Trina for her closing statements.
Thank you again for being here tonight, either in person or online on YouTube. When I was a little girl, I used to listen to Whitney Houston and, yes, with my hairbrush in front of my mirror in my bedroom, sing the words, "I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way." Those words stayed with me. Even as a child, I understood something powerful. The way we teach, support, and believe in children shapes the future of our families, our communities, and our country. That belief is one of the reasons I became an educator over 30 years ago, and it's why I'm running for state school board today. Most of all, I believe in the future of Utah, and our students are that future. They are absolutely worth fighting for. Throughout my career, I've built a reputation for bringing people together, finding creative solutions, and staying focused on what is best for students. Because here's the reality, no one on the state school board works alone. It takes leadership, collaboration, and the ability to unite people behind a common vision. We don't need a rubber stamp. We need leaders willing to ask hard questions, think independently, and keep students and families at the center of every decision. We cannot allow the tyranny of low expectations to limit our students, dismiss parents, or undermine teachers. As a conservative candidate who believes in representing the people, the principles guiding me are simple. Students come first. Parents are essential partners. Teachers deserve support. Accountability and transparency matter. Every tax dollar should be treated as an investment in student success, and our schools should be focused on academic excellence, not political or social agendas. I'm not asking simply for your vote tonight. I am asking for the opportunity to earn your trust, every conversation, every decision, every vote. I'm Trina Christensen, and I would be honored to earn your vote for State School Board District 8.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and thanks for our partners with the Utah Education Debate Coalition, the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah, United Way of Salt Lake City, Utah PTA, the Utah Association of Public Charter Schools, and the Deseret News. Hope you have a good evening.